Well, joining me now for more on this topic is Nii Akuetteh, former Executive Director of Africa Action. Thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
When we look at what is going on in Mali right now, do the Islamist fighters who are there at the moment pose a similar threat that Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan posed, say, around 2000?
I think I will say so. Of course, it's not an exact correlation. It's not a perfect analogy, but I think it's better to worry that if it is not dealt with, it's going to turn Mali and the West African region into what Afghanistan did become. Now, this is a controversial issue. There are many analysts who say, look, it's not Afghanistan, we don't need to get involved. I happen to think that one should err on the side of caution and find a way to deal with it. But I must quickly add that I am not entirely happy with the American strategy for dealing with it. I think they are a problem that has to be dealt with, but I have problems with the strategy.
Okay, let's talk about that strategy. The United States seems to be adopting a hands-off strategy right now because in this battle in Mali right now, the French forces are really at the coalface fighting the Islamists. The United States is offering support, logistical support, financial support, intelligence support, but they've said no boots on the ground.
Right.
Is that a wise course of action?
I think the no boots on the ground part I agree with. But I think one of the big flaws in the U.S. strategy is that the war in Mali actually started January 12, 2012. So it's been 14 months. I think the U.S. has reacted entirely too slowly and sat on its hands too much, even including things that it did in the UN Security Council where they dragged out everything. Even since the French went in last month, in the 4 weeks they've been there, three and a half weeks they've been there, the American support for them, they say one thing, but they drag out the support very slowly. There was a debate about whether the French should be forced to pay for refueling facilities. There's the question of whether they should share intelligence with them very quickly. So I think that the U.S. needs to take the situation more seriously, be more supportive without putting boots on the ground, because part of the reason is that the U.S. had been engaged with the Malians closely for 8 years. And you could make a good argument that, in fact, it was the U.S. embrace of Mali that helped push Mali over the edge.
If the US has been involved with Mali for over 8 years, as you say, why were they not aware that this could have happened earlier? I mean, they are responding now. They want to put a drone base in Niger. They have a drone base already in Djibouti, but why didn't they respond earlier?
That is a great question. You know, I've testified in front of Congress, I've been on many shows posing the same question, that there need to be questions raised about U.S. engagement for 8 years. Why didn't they see it coming? Because, and then here is a key point. Mali was pushed over by fighters from Libya. Colonel Gaddafi's remnants of his army that were mainly Tuaregs. They came over into Mali because that's part of their home and they had grievances. But you can't get from Libya to Mali because they don't have a common border without travel a long time, either going through Niger or through Algeria. And my question that hasn't been answered is, how is it that nobody saw them coming? Because everybody has been saying they were worried about arms flowing into Mali. So I don't think the full story has been told. I think one of the things I'm suggesting Congress does is investigate very closely the U.S. relations with Mali for 8 years, what happened when the war broke out. Because what makes it important is, if the 8 years of engagement with Mali left Mali in this lurch, why do we want to do the same thing with Niger? Why do we want to do the same thing with Mauritania? Why do we want to do the same thing with the other African countries? So it seems to me a thorough, in-depth review is called for, and I haven't seen it.
Okay, Nii Akuetteh, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.